Well, hello again. Dave Graybill, fishingmagician.com, and I am so excited. I'm back here on Lake Roosevelt with my good friend Kevin Witte.
Thanks for coming out, Dave.
I appreciate you having us on board. We've had some great trips with Kevin up here. We did a spring fishing trip last year looking for northern pike and actually caught the biggest walleye I've ever seen. Probably over 14 pounds, we figured.
Yeah, 14 and a half pound fish.
Yeah, it was spectacular. And then we finished our day catching a bunch of these beautiful eater-sized walleye. Lake Roosevelt just full of them.
Yeah, it's pretty loaded up, especially this north end, Spokane Arm. You can come out here and get a lot of those, 14 to 21 inch fish that are just perfect table fare.
Right. Now we launched at Kettle Falls today, and we've tried a couple of different spots. People need to keep an eye on the flows up here. In the spring and early summer, they raise and lower the level of this reservoir, and right now it's filling like crazy, which it often does in the spring. And so that can really impact the fishing, as it just puts a lot of colder water into the reservoir.
Yeah, right now they're going up about 2 to 2.5 feet a day.
Yes.
And the big impact on the water has been the rain that we've had. You're starting to get a lot of these, normal areas that are blowing out really bad with the Colville, mouth of the Kettle, some of these other little rivers that are just dumping straight mud into the river.
Right. And we happen to be fishing right now just off the mouth of the Colville River, and the Kettle River is just above us. And so we are in an area that's going to be impacted by that colder water and muddy conditions. But there are so many walleye in this reservoir. If you can find them and find the depth that they're laying at, that's going to be the trick today. Probably is finding out exactly what depth that these fish are going to have transitioned to.
Yeah.
Given these conditions.
And it's changing every day. With last week it was down 11 feet from where it's at this week. So
right.
A lot of the lines we were running, everything else have changed depth dramatically. So now you just kind of have to adapt to it as it goes along.
Sure. Now when you're out here, this is a big pond. I'll tell you, this is a lot of water and a lot of shoreline. What kind of structure do you look for? Say if I was out here in my own boat and I was running downstream, what should I look for along the shoreline that'll give me an indication of where walleye might be hanging out?
Typically I look for these sandbars.
Okay.
So like a nice sandy beach, some of the steep cobble banks that drop into sand. And I try to find the transition zones where those fish are coming in and out of feed.
Okay.
So this area is great because you got the mouth of Colville and the old river channel there, and then the main river channel on the outside of us too. So there's a lot of resting spots for those fish where they hang out, and then they're going to come up onto these flats and feed. And trolling this, we can usually get between them and the feed and try to target those fish on their way in.
Gotcha.
And get really active biting fish.
Sure. Well, and now once you've found an area that you're pretty confident you're going to find some fish on, and you can watch your depth sounder and see if you're accurate in marking fish when you get there, what kind of a setup do you advise people to use?
This time of year, post spawn, typically running bottom bouncers in the 2 to 3 ounce range, because my main target this time of year is like 25 to 45 feet.
Okay.
And a lot of worm harnesses.
And worm harnesses. Okay.
If it's a really active bite, I'll get on slow death hooks, but for the most part, I hook up a little bit better on worm harnesses. With the water temp changes and fluctuations and everything else happening, it's still somewhat of a lethargic bite some days.
Okay.
So that extra hook off the back end of the worm harness really seems to kind of seal the deal on a lot of these fish.
That's great. So I see you've got some of your setups here, and this is a nice deal you've got here. This is a mock fishing stuff storage deal for your for your leads. your bottom bouncers. That's a nice setup.
That is about the nicest way I've found to store all my leads and
Uh-huh.
actually keep them organized where it's not just a box of them in the gunnels and in the seat boxes.
Yeah,
You know, everything's a Velcro pouch. They're all separated by size.
that's so easy.
You know, it rolls up, it's mesh on one side, so everything drains out at the end of the day. Everything can stay dry.
Yes,
You know,
that's very, very handy.
most of the harnesses I'm running right now are like 1.2 or 1.5 smile blades. A lot of the high UV colors, only a couple beads, and then, like I said, some of them are slow death hooks, but for the majority of them I'm running worm harnesses with about a 2 to 3 inch split on number 2 Gami hooks.
Okay.
That's been kind of my go-to on them, but a lot of these,
nice size blade.
yeah, trying to move some water, especially with all the flows and everything we've had lately. There's some really dirty water out here,
Yes.
so just trying to get enough flash through it or move a little bit of water and get some vibration in the water.
Right.
You know, as the water clears up later in the summer, I typically downsize everything.
Okay.
And try to kind of match that hatch. You know, we got a lot of baby bait fish in the summertime, and you can go to, you know, your silvers and blues and greens still, but just kind of downsize the blades.
Right. Yeah, it's a nice bright colors, good
Yeah.
UVs.
Their new UV stuff that they've had out here for 2 years now, I think, has been
Very
really
effective.
spectacular.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, that's kind of any particular leader length you found more effective?
I try to stay in about the 3 foot range.
Yeah.
Um,
With water, it's pretty dirty water in the spring, and so it's probably not as critical.
Yeah, it's not as critical, but typically I'm about a 3 foot leader length on my walleye gear. It gives a little bit more room to move around down there.
Right. And any pound test you prefer?
You know, leaders, I typically run 12 to 15 pound, and then my main line on these is 15 pound mono top shot on braid.
Sure. I'll say I noticed that your hook size, I tie up a lot of my own rigs myself too, and so I tend to use a larger hook like you're using here, which
Yeah.
is it's about a size 1?
That's like a 1. Some of them are 1s, and then
Yeah.
I run a lot of 1s and number 2s.
Yes. Well, I've found too that that size hook seems to work pretty good. It gives me a good positive hookup when I do get a good biter. And hopefully we'll find some aggressive, suicidal fish today that are just going to just eat our worm and run with it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
See if we can find some tacos out here.
That's right. Well, that's great. Well, we're going to pound this area, then maybe even explore some other spots today. Real mix of conditions, water temperatures. We got a full moon. I've got everything set up to make it a real challenging day for you here.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun, though.
There you go. Boy, I just love this bank. Look how far you control along this bank. And you've got a pretty consistent depth. And when the fish are in here, you can just fish it for a long ways. And it's just going to be loaded with fish like that.
Perfect taco size.
I love them. Yeah, I mean, I do. I love fish that size.
Yeah, these are what I prefer to eat at home. Is
Oh
you
yeah,
know, here's
hammer handles.
yep, perfect.
All right. Okay, Aaron. Aaron. You are figuring it out today.
Been a little bit of work.
It's been a lot of work today. Once again, these conditions haven't been in your favor. Yeah,
That's a really good.
I like them.
That's like our target size.
I like them like that. Well, Kevin, this has been a really nice couple of days up here. However, did I pick it or what?
Yeah, the water conditions didn't really want to play with us very much.
You know, and that's something that there are ways to check on this. In the spring, we all know that you want to check water conditions. There are ways to do that. Like Chelan County PUD has an app that you can download on your phone and get the conditions at Rocky Reach and Rock Island Dam. Now, if people want to check on flows up here, typically I wouldn't think of that. But in the spring, particularly this year, we have a very high water event. And normally this time of year you have, what, 150,000 CFS?
Yeah, typical is 140 to 160,000.
Okay.
And this year, the day before you came up was 260, and yesterday was over 300,000.
That is a tremendous amount of water. That creates very unusual flows for this time of year. If they're going to happen, they're going to happen this time of year. But this is really off the charts.
And a lot of this, the rainfall we've had recently is really contributed, has taken away quite a few of the fisheries we have here for consistent walleye spots. The blowouts of like the Colville, the Kettle, and some of the in-feeding creeks really mudded some areas up.
Exactly. Well, we looked long and hard for fish. Yesterday we covered an awful lot of water trying to find fish.
Yeah.
We did find a few. Today we got a level of water that looked like hot chocolate.
Yeah, it was dark, it was dirty, and it was about 12 feet deep, 13 feet deep.
Exactly. And then we moved out to this flat, picked up another fish in very shallow water again. So we're not finding the typical places at all. And they're very scarce too. But I'll tell you what, I sure appreciate how hard you work to find these fish. And we actually got them to go. We got a few to go.
Yeah.
And it's very unusual because I have to say you are spoiled. You're living in walleye heaven up here with a typical day. I mean, if I said you average 30 fish, I'm probably conservative.
Yeah, it's about an average day up here, 30 to 40 fish.
Yes. And I really look forward to coming back again and doing that. I want to experience that.
Just got to pick a better day next year.
And I mean, we had the full moon, we had an unbelievable flow. Everything stacked against us, and you still managed to get some fish out of this. This has been great.
Yeah, but it's been nice. So it's sort of be good news.
If people have not visited this area, the Kettle Falls area is absolutely beautiful. And the wildlife, when you're off the water, the amount of wildlife is amazing.
Yeah.
And Colville's got everything you need. And Kettle Falls too. Restaurants, lodging, you name it, everything's here. And if people wanted to get up here and get a day of walleye fishing in the spring, typically May, June is a great time to be here, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll start jigging in February and March. April still jig, start transitioning into troll.
Yes.
So, and then May and June, you get that pre-spawn buzz spawn.
Right. And then you move into sturgeon.
Right. Sturgeon tomorrow.
Yep, and open in June sometime.
It's, next year might be a short season, we're hearing, but it's not yet.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll fish that all the way until September.
Right. And then you move into your salmon fishing.
Fall Kings down at the reach.
Yep, exactly. So,
And then back up here for rainbows and cooking in the winter.
right, yeah. And fantastic rainbow fishing.
Yeah, that's one of the great parts about it up here is there's always something going on.
Something going on.
Springtime walleye, you have fall walleye bite, you have sturgeon in the summer, you have amazing rainbow fishing up here, cooking at South End.
Wonderful. Now, if people wanted to get a hold of you. Now, you're upriver outfitter guide service now.
Yep.
And if they wanted to get a hold of you, what number should they call?
509-398-7995.
All right, good. Yeah, and you could go to Upriver Outfitter, and you'll be able to track